Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Real Answers to Fake Questions. This is episode 9, I believe, and this might be one of my favorite questions. It is from Filament, and he asks, Paul, do you think that 3D printers will change anything in backpacking? And I have actually been wondering about that question for about a year and a half now, ever since 3D printers, the prices have really come down and have become kind of like consumer grade. Just like with video cameras and DSLRs, there used to be a time where you had to be a professional, put up a ton of money to get good quality. And nowadays, what would go for consumer grade quality would have been what would have been considered pro grade quality. So prices are dropping. They're able to get into more people's houses. Right now, you can get a 3D printer in your house for like $170. I don't remember the brand, but it's from, if you look up Monoprice 3D printers, it's the new one that they put out, I don't know, a couple months ago or so. And totally could revolutionize things. I've often joked with my daughters that someday when they get an apartment, there's not going to be any need to get them any stuff. You would just get them a 3D printer. If they want a dish, they print out a dish. They want a spoon, they print out a spoon. They want a chair, they print out a chair. They break a handle to something, they scan the old one and print it off. And you consider that right now, you can get good quality printing for like under $200. I mean, just a few years ago, that would be unheard of. So where it's going from here, I'm really eager to see. Granted, it can't be large things. The one that's for $200, you're talking maybe like a 4-inch build plate. So you're only talking smaller objects, but still. So is 3D printing going to impact backpacking? So when I've been backpacking for the last year and a half or so, I've been taking a look at some of the gear that I have and wondering what could I design in 3D print. And so the first thing that I experimented with was a spoon. So I thought to myself, could I make a lightweight backpacking spoon? So I made a few prototypes. This is one. So obviously this would not be a finished spoon, but I was just experimenting with how to put in, like the little dip area for the spoon. Do I put holes? Do I not put holes? And actually, I stopped messing around with prototypes for the spoon. I don't know how close I can make this. I apologize if that is totally and completely blurry, but you can see that when you print it off, there's always going to be little lines. Now, this is not at top quality print, kind of like a paper printer. You can do it at like fine quality, good quality, draft quality. So this was not fine quality on the 3D printer. But you can see there's all little lines in it, and inevitably, food is going to get stuck in there, more so than other spoons. And from the more and more I read, this is a food grade plastic that is used in a lot of 3D printers, but it's still not necessarily something you want to eat. And so I gave up on the spoon. This, I think, weighed, just what you're looking at right here, weighed 0.2 ounces. And, obviously I would make it a little bit wider, maybe a little bit shorter. But I don't like the holes, because I think over time, you just get grit in there that you'd never bother cleaning out. So I gave up on the spoon. The next thing I tried was a poop scoop, cat hole shovel. And again, you can see that this is a prototype. It's never been finished. And I gave up on that for the simple reason, I don't know if I'd want to rely on this in the winter time. I don't know what, with this type of plastic, I'm not sure exactly what happens to it when it's cold. If I hit a rock, would it just crack? I know that it definitely wouldn't be as strong, obviously, as some of the metal ones. For where I go, there's going to be some rocks, but it's mostly dirt. And so fiddling around with this, I ended up stopping with this too, because I just said, I think for the money I would put into a metal one, I could definitely rely on, I'll go with that. So then I started looking at the different friction adjusters. So those little plastic things you would have at the end of your tarp. I think the most traditional one most people have seen is it's a little flat piece with 3 holes in it. And what made me think of it is that some of them that I've gotten have obviously come off of some kind of 3D printer from some of the small companies. So I put some on the end of my tarp, if I could find it. So I have, where is it? So I made a couple for my tarp. And again, I hope that this is actually clear and you can see it. So I have one on each end. This is my Ridgeline. And so they've been working out just fine. So definitely found a use there. And the last thing that I really love is I looked at someone who was suggesting a stick pick to hold their GoPro to their pole. And so I started looking at something that I could design. Because if you look at a stick pick, it looks like someone probably is printing it off of a 3D printer. I never really took a good look at it. But I decided to try to design my own for my GoPro. And so obviously that's the GoPro holder right there. And again, I'll see in post. I'll see when I go up to the house if this is clear or not. I don't know if you can see how clear that is. And so for those of you that might have access to a 3D printer, let me just collapse this. Might have access to a 3D printer. I mean, I could actually just send you the file. This top part you can find anywhere on the internet. There's all sorts of people giving away files for different camera mounts. So this top little part I ripped off of something else, and then I designed the bottom. And if you're familiar with 3D printing, I made a mess of the bridging that is in that hole there. I knew it wasn't going to have to be very neat or precise. So I did some very simple bridging in there that allowed me to pop the vacuum hose clamp right through it. I went to the hardware store. I ended up deciding to go with an eye bolt instead of anything else because it just, obviously it's easy. You can grip it with your hands. It's recessed. The nut on the other side is recessed so that it's very easy just to tighten it or loosen it with your hands. What I think I'm definitely going to do is next time at the hardware store I will get a smaller clamp because this one has it's a little bit too big, and this overhang, I'm sure I can cut it, file it down, but I know a couple times this has caught against my thigh when I put it in the wrong hand. But otherwise I'll save a little bit there and get a smaller one, or maybe figure out something else. But this has been working out great. It's cheap to do, it was simple to do. It took a little while to figure out the design and do a couple of prototypes, but this has been working out just perfect so far. So that's maybe only the second thing that I've made with a 3D printer that I actually use. So I would love to hear, for those of you that use 3D printers or just simply know about them, what is some other piece of backpacking gear that you think you can design? And not necessarily to replace something. So, I'm not necessarily looking to replace a piece of gear that I already have and make it cheaper, but what's some problem or some piece of gear that you wish you had that you could just design and make? And again, this is not some I don't have some kind of engineering degree. Almost, I don't know, or at least around here in Connecticut, most of the libraries now have 3D printers. So my library offers 3D printing for $3 an hour. You pretty much walk into any library around here and you can get access to a 3D printer for free or for just a very small donation. I know that the next town over, you just have to give a small donation to cover the cost of the 3D filament right here. There's free programs if you want to give it a shot and messing around with designing stuff. A very simple program is called Tinkercad, TINKERCAD.com. It's a free program. It's easy for kids to use, for adults to use. It's not the one that professionals are going to use, but you can very easily design basic things on it. There's all sorts of tutorials across YouTube, so you can very easily type in how to do whatever, Tinkercad, and find a video of somebody showing you how to do it. But if you haven't considered it, the next time you say when you're backpacking, oh, I wish I had a blank, might be something to consider making your own, or contact me. I love to fiddle around with sort of things like this. So I would love to hear in the comments, is there something that you would like designed? Is there something that you have done? Is there some other idea? Because I know that this is, kind of on the cusp of 3D printers coming into households. There's not many people that have one in their house, but my gosh, they're just getting easier and easier to use. And the other thing that is happening is that the number of websites in which people are giving away plans for things. So again, like even this top part right here, I started designing it and I thought to myself, well, somebody has had to have made a camera mount for something. And so I took somebody else's design that put it under a Creative Commons license so that they were allowing other people to use it. I literally cut off, I don't even remember what it was, what kind of camera, GoPro holder it was for, but I cut off the bottom of theirs. I put in my design on the bottom and it works just fine. So there you go. So is 3D printing going to impact backpacking? I don't know. Maybe for simple little things like this and that, but I can't think of many other expensive things. Maybe customizing buckles for your backpack. I know on some of the newer backpacks, I was just looking at a backpack. I think it was Palanti backpacks, has kind of a unique little hook at the top of their bag now, and so people can kind of like look at that design and maybe combine it with another one and then 3D print their own. So maybe for simple little things like that. Obviously no one's 3D printing a sleeping bag or anything like that right now, but for simple little things like this, pretty cool, huh? All right, thanks a lot.